Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? I have to reset that stupid camera. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connect a dot, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links will be at the bottom of the description. You can also check out my YouTube. Sorry, my brain. My website, alleycatcreations211.com. You can get pyramids, artwork, and all kinds of other stuff. You can check my portfolio out. If you want anything, you can email me. I have channel memberships at a 3D level. It's just a nice way to support me. And there are some perks that are really nice that I do for my members. So check all those things out. I appreciate all the help and generosity from everybody that watches me. I really do appreciate it. So the last time I read this book, um, there was a dog in my backyard. Dog is back home with its family, but that was insane, very insane. So hopefully I get a little bit more read today and nothing else happens. And I'm praying for everybody in the tornado, ice storm, snow again happening right now. Thankfully, I am super north of the storm, so I don't think I'm gonna get much, if anything. Although I prepared as if I was gonna get a million feet. So we're gonna do chapter 28. Purification is the first law I give unto you, and is the same as with the ancients, in which ye shall not eat the flesh of any creature that breatheth the breath of life, nor of fish that lived in the water, nor under the water. Ye shall bathe once every day, for the crown of the head to the sole of the feet. And before bathing, ye shall say, Before thee, O Jehovah, or Asman, I will put away the filth of my body and evil of my spirit. And after bathing, ye shall say, As I have with water washed clean the outer man, O thou Jehovah, help me to make clean my spirit. In the morning, when thou wakest, thou shalt say, Help me, O Jehovah, to keep my thoughts pure this day, and my soul full of love and tenderness. In the evening, before sleeping, thou shalt say, Whilst my corporeal body sleepeth, O Jehovah, help me, less encumbered spirit, to see the ways of thy righteous judgment. Without purity, no man can see the Creator. With purity, all men can see him and hear him. It is easier to purify the corporeal body than the spiritual, for diet and baths can accomplish the former, but pure thoughts are required for the soul. A man may be clean as to the flesh, but if he have impure thoughts, he is impure in spirit. Whoso speaketh cruelly or unjustly of his neighbor is foul in spirit. If he speak of the shortcomings and deceptions of thy neighbors, he is foul in spirit. Whereas, first of all, purification is the first law of man's own self. The second law is, after being purified, to strive constantly to do good unto others. Some of the multitude ask, What meanest thou by doing good unto others? Zacchaeus said, To inspire others into purity first, and then to obtain individuality. It hath been said from time without end that to help the poor, to give to them, to serve them, is good works done unto others. But I say unto you, this is but halfway to that which is good. For ye shall not only help them, but shall go and teach them how to help themselves. This is doing good unto others. It hath been said, Whoso said the ordinances of the priest, repeating a certain number of prayers daily, doeth a good work. But I say unto you, whoso teacheth a man to invent prayers of his own, hath done a greater good. To put a man in the way to be his own salvation, this is the best good work. As ye have depended on the priest to pray for you, I come to teach you to pray for yourselves. The third law is to abnegate one's own self, being willing in heart, to sacrifice one's own desires, possessions, and opinions, for sake of peace and the good of the family. This is the most difficult law, for the selfishness of man causeth him to say, I have such a love of liberty, yet me be the dictator and do thou my decrees. But for this evil amongst men, they could dwell together in peace the world over. The fourth law is to love all men, women, and children as brothers and sisters. The fifth law is to return good for evil, to give pleasure to those that give pain. To practice those things, holding all things in common, is sufficient unto the redemption of the world from darkness, war, and evil, unto peace and light and happiness to all the living. Zacchaeus said, without rites and ceremonies, a people is like a collection of musicians, with everyone playing a different tune. Without pledges to general rules, a community is like a farm without fences, where cattle roam about destroying the harvests. Two things stand prominently before all men, about which there need be no dispute, light and darkness. Whether ye call the light Elohim, or Arzman, or God, or Sidka, it mattereth little, provided the idea eliminated hath reference to that which is the highest conceived of, who is ever present, and is the person from whom all persons sprung. And whether ye call darkness sin or evil, or Satan, it mattereth little, provided the idea eliminated is that which is the extreme opposite of light. Without these two entities in view, to shun the one and strive for the other, a community is like race horses striving for a prize by running in circular capers, instead of going as well provided track. Take no man nor woman into the family till first pledged to serve the all-person Jehovah or Asman with a full and willing heart, to shun Satan and his emissaries, the circumspect. And when ye are come together, choose ye the oldest, wisest, best man to be the father of the family community. When matters come up for discussion, whoever speaketh thereon shall speak in the direction of light and not of darkness. When asked further explanation on this, Zacchaeus, there are two modes of discussion before all men. One is to impart light, and the other is to abuse the opponent. The first is Jehovah's, the second is Satan's method. In the family discussion, the later method shall not be tolerated by the father. After the discussion is finished, the rabbi shall decree according to the light of the Father in him. Zacchaeus was here asked, why not decree according to the majority vote? Zacchaeus said, that is the lower light, being the light of men only. For I declare unto you, ye cannot serve both Jehovah and men. It is incumbent on every man in the community that entereth the discussion to speak from the higher light as he perceive it, without regard to policy or consequence. And the same law shall be binding on the rabbi. And though 9 men out of 10 side the other way, yet the rabbi's decree shall stand above all the rest. When the discussion turneth upon rites and ceremonies which the community may adopt, or the music, or the discipline regarding funerals or marriages, or births, the speaker shall remember that a family is composed of old and young, of sedate and jocose, and that every talent is created for the glory of the whole and for the glory of the Creator, and they shall enlarge their understanding to embrace the whole. Remembering it is easier to walk beside a bull and turn him in his course than to come against him for the same purpose. One man hath joy in sacrifice, worship, by clapping his hands and dancing, another in poetry, another in singing, another in silent prayers. and yet one hath no preference over another in sight of him who created them, for they are his own handiwork. Consider then that ye provide a time and a place in the community for all of these in their own way, directing them wholly. For if ye strive to bind them, they are exuberant spirits, not to dance and clap their hands, they will find vent in secrecy and to an evil end. Herein have the Brahmin priests been aiders and abaters of bawdy houses and of drunkenness and licentiousness, because they have sought to make you ascetics by overthrowing your natural talents. Sakai said, of truth, I declare a new thing to you, but which was old thousands of years ago. The religion is nothing more nor less than rites and ceremonies in the discipline of a community, as when an army of soldiers are training by their captains, when certain commands and maneuvers cause the soldiers to be as a unit in movement. So is religion in a community through rites and ceremonies made as a unit to carry out works of charity and harmony and love and righteousness. And every member of a community that taketh no part in its religion is like an idler mixing in with a company of soldiers, where his presence tendeth to evil. Brahmin priests go about preaching and singing and praying before audiences, making great show in the temples, yet none of these practices what they profess. From these evils learn ye to do good, first by living only in families where all the members practice what they profess. As the worldeth goeth, it is easy to preach and call it religion, but the fruit must be measured by the city or the state that is saved from sin. Who then of all the priests in the temple can say, here is a community saved from sin? If they cannot do this, then they are themselves hypocrites and blasphemers. Satan calleth out from a dark corner, saying, remain thou within the wicked world, and leaven the whole mass. Again, he calleth out from a dark corner, saying, go thou away from the wicked world, and live in as ascetic, praying alone, living alone. Again, he calleth from a dark corner, saying, thou and thy friends are too pure to mix with the world. Go ye away privily, and let the world take care of itself. Now I say unto you, do none of these things, and in the same breath I say, do all of them. Let your community remain within the world, that it may be proven example that love, peace, plenty, and happiness are possible on the earth. Let the community be sufficient aesthetic to obtain the beatific state, which is in the triumph of a spirit over the flesh. And as to the third proposition, take ye no part in the governments of men, or kings, or queens, neither fight ye for them, nor against them. For they live under the lower law, but ye shall live under the law of Jehovah, as he speaketh to the soul of man. Neither shall ye have kings nor queens, these belong to the world's people. Lastly, and above all things, live not for the corporeal man, but for the spiritual man, remembering ye are not yet born, but are in embryo, shaping yourselves for the everlasting life. Whoso practiceth not the higher law will not escape the tortures in hell, but whoso liveth the higher law will pass on to nirvana, where dwell gods and the goddesses of endless light. Flatter not yourselves that ye shall suddenly reform all the world. Ye can at most but reach an arm's length. 3 doctrines have been, now are, and ever shall be on the earth. They are, first, the faithists who know the all-person, ever present. Second, the idol worshippers who make the Creator into a man in heaven and not present by proxy of certain laws. And third, infidels who believe in nothing they cannot take up in the hand and wait. The faithists beget faithists, the idolaters beget idolaters, the infidels beget infidels. For these 3 conditions are but outward manifestations of the spirit within. The infidel is nearly devoid of spirit. The idolater hath one grade more of spirit, but the faithless have spiritual ascendancy. Since the highest good things done in the world come of the order of faithless, be ye circumspect as to marriage, that your offspring incline more to spiritually than to earthiness. But such matters come under the higher law, and can be understood only through the soul. Also hath practice proved that the laws of community must die with the death of the rabbi, and that new laws must be made by the new rabbi. And in no case shall the law a precedent of things past apply to things present, for this is making slaves of the living to those that are dead. It is making the wisdom of the dead greater than the wisdom of Jehovah. When a rabbi retireth from office, it shall be considered the same as a death, for it is the termination of his rule. Nor shall a rabbi have any privileges or emoluments. Sorry, that's a weird word. Over and above any member of the community. Nor one man above another, nor one woman above another, for there shall be no partiality even in favor of the learned and good, over and above the ignorant and the less good. For ye are brothers and sisters, children of one Father, created by him in his own way and for his own glory. For 4 years, Sakiah preached, traveling from the east to the west and from north to south, and whenever he went, great multitudes came to hear him, for God had so prepared them. And there went with him 72 disciples, who were also inspired of God to learn the wisdom of Sakiah's words. And the people of Venmo were stirred up as they had not been from the time of Caligula. And it came to pass that the priests and the magicians of Brahma sought to condemn Sakiah, saying, the oracles and the spirits of the dead declare his words are not true words. Moreover, if he were of the Holy Ghost, he would show signs and miracles. So God gave Sakiah signs and miracles, even to showing the spirits of the dead, who came and stood beside him, whilst he preached, and the spirits spake also, declaring Sakiah's words were of Jehovah. And the multitude saw the spirits and heard them speak. Sakiah said, of a truth, I do not come of the Holy Ghost. I come of the actual person, Jehovah or Osman. Then God gave to Sakiah power of the death cast, whereat his own spirit went out of his corporeal body and stood in the presence of many men, and was seen by them, and his spirit spake to them, and they heard his words. And whilst his spirit was thus out of his corporeal body, another angel of God came and inhabited it, and spake before the multitude. Now after these signs came to Sakiah, he preached again and traveled 4 years more, showing these things wherever he went. And on these occasions he explained the spirit of things and the different heavens which he had visited. And he showed until many that it was not imagination, for he left his corporeal body and went in spirit far off cities and country places, showing his spirit in regions hundreds of miles remote, and he was recognized in the communities where he appeared. For there were learned men in those days, and they traveled to the places named to see his spirit, to witness if such a thing could be, and hundreds of thousands of them testified it was true. Sakiah said, of these matters be ye most expert in observation, for though there be proved to you, yet I declare to you, there are as nothing. For even magicians and spirits of darkness can attain to the same miracles. Nor is there such wonder as one single virtue that would contribute to make the world better or happier. For the spirits of the lower heavens, like mortals, have multitudes of doctrines, and for the most part they know nothing of the higher heavens, nirvana, which I proclaim unto you. Nor is a testimony of a spirit more valuable to you than is the testimony of a mortal. But consider ye the words and doctrines of spirit and men, for the only is good which provideth for amalgamating the condition of the family and the state. For it is given unto you by the Father, that ye can begin your own resurrection while ye are here in the corporeal body. Consider then what ye can do, that will rise you in spirit for this resurrection. First, to purify yourselves. Second, to do all the good ye can. And third, to affiliate without these. There can be no resurrection. Or having two of them and lacking in the third, there can be no resurrection. To live the highest best one knoweth, to practice sharply the convictions of the heart, these are the working tools of resurrection. To live not the highest best one knoweth, to practice not what one is convinced of, is hypocrisy. These are like stones tied to the neck of a man in a deep water. In all, Zacchaeus preached and practiced 14 years, and he found 72 communities, and all the members thereof were sworn against war and against caste and against idleness, and to worship only the Great Spirit Oahspe, and he gave them many rites and ceremonies. And then Zacchaeus said unto the Creator, I know thou hast in some mysterious way inspired me to do all I have done. Therefore, all the glory is thine. How best, O Father, may these great truths be impressed upon mortals, that they will not soon forget the words through me. Then answered God to Zacchaeus, saying, By thy death by the hand of the idolater. Zacchaeus said, Then, O thou who createst me alive, provide thou my death as thou desirest. Then God cut asunder the cord of light that extended to the heavenly throne in paradise, and suddenly now the Brahmins conspired against Zacchaeus, and they went privily and poisoned his food with the blood of swine killed with poison. And Zacchaeus ate thereof, not perceiving it, and he was taken with a bloody flux and died. And his disciples took his body according to the custom of the country and burnt it, and scattered the ashes thereof to the four corners of the world. And in the night thereafter God sent 1,000,000 angels into the fields of ashes with the heavenly ship of fire, and they took the spirit of Zacchaeus therein, and bore him up to the throne of God. Birth of Caillou, otherwise Confucius. Thorian Atticus, chief of the million Lewis, sent by God down to the earth to Shinya to raise up an heir capable of the voice of God, sent word to God in paradise, saying, Greeting to thee, O God, in the name of Jehovah, thy son is born, and his name is Caillou. He is son of Heath, who is sub-king governor of Tiso. Behold, thy son Caillou is Ket-Tisun in the borders, whose mother Ching Tays is not 15 years old, and Hay was father to 12 children previously. Let us rejoice before Jehovah, who hath quickened into life these tree of universal knowledge. Also have my host brought about more than 3,000 birds, who shall become his disciples in time to come. God returned answer to Thorin Atticus, saying, In Jehovah's name, all praise to thee and thy hosts. Thy words have been proclaimed in paradise. There is great joy in heaven. Send the grades of mortal resurrection in Shinya with doctrines and rites and ceremonies, and the dominion of the spirits of the dead. Though Atticus then applied to the angels who had charge of the numerating and appraising of mortals as to their grades in spiritual intercourse, and having obtained the reports, he made selections and reported as following, to wit, Though Atticus, greeting to God, son of Jehovah, Ling, son king of Shinya, with 12 sub-kingdoms, one to represent every month of the year, 406 millions of mortals, 2,700 million angels, not fettered by angel tyrants, of the angel emissaries of the triune God, 1,500 millions. Mortal grade 8, maximum 80, minimum nothing, of 50s, 1 to 7, of 25s, 1 to 3, of 10s, 1 to 1, but of 75s, 1 to 40, mostly guardian births. The rise in the 11th year, 2 in the 33rd, 5 in the 100th, 12. Of rites and ceremonies, 72. Of sacrifice without computation, 35. Funeral rites 98. Observances in full 45. Perception in Suis 1 to 362. In Sargris 1 to 6,208. Sorry, guys. Oh, I lost my place now. No, I didn't. I found it. Of spirits of Sargris 1 to 33,000. Of first and second resurrection, mostly Ashars. Thoranicus said, because Sheen instituted reverence for the dead, the funeral rites were have become worshipful. After the bodies put away, either buried or burned, mortals read prayers on 3 succeeding days at sunset, chanting the virtue and love of the dead, and oft the spirit returned to them in the house, taking on Sargris, like a mortal taking on to their mortal kin. Of Drudras not obtained to live alone, 700 million. Of these, 30% are in declension and 70 in ascension. Of mortals in Druk, 16% of mortals in idleness, including Druks, 20%. Of such as are addicted to secret evils and pollution, 70% of abortionists, 0.5%. Thoranicus said, owing to the veneration for and to the rites to the dead, is Spirig's increase attributed. Furthermore, thy servant herewith sendeth to thee for the libraries of heaven a full record of the cities and country places of Shinya and the grade rate of every mortal. Ku grew up to be a man in every way adapted to the work for which the Lewis had him born into the world by command of God. And it also came to pass that disciples were also born and duly prepared by the angels of God to become co-workers with Ku. Of these disciples, 72 were called chief disciples, that is, 6 from each of the 12 kingdoms and subkingdoms of Shinya. God had said, suffer not Ku and his chief disciples to know they are instruments in my hands. Neither suffer them to know that my angels inspire them, nor suffer them to know that they come from their respective kingdoms by my voice through my angels. In one age, to say a matter cometh by inspection or by the angels is to render the matter impotent. And yet, in another age, to not profess inspiration or angel presence is to render the matter potent. The latter condition is now upon Shinya. Let my angels heed this. When Caillou was ready for the work of God, there came to him from the 12 provinces of Shinya 72 men and women of great learning. Having heard of Kinyu's wisdom, none of these knew they had been inspired to come. Caillou said unto them, why have ye come? Some gave one reason and some another. Caillou said, these great happenings are the work of the ever-present. Let us conduct ourselves as gods. The Great Spirit will then answer us. Let us sit in crescent after the manner of gods. God established a line of light from his throne into heaven down to Kinyu by the presence of 500 million angels, maintained this light of heaven with mortals. That which was inspired of God came to the soul of Kinyu. What God spake, that spake Kinyu. And God so spake through Kinyu that man might not know it was God speaking, for he desired to inspire men to self-culture instead of relying on gods and angels as to heretofore. In the language of Kinyu, the Great Spirit was called Shang-Ti, but the word Ti was God. The words Shang-Ti were the gods. Kinyu said, behold, man hath blockaded the road to wisdom. In one place he hath heaped up thousands of books of the ancients, and another place he wasteth time and rites and ceremonies. Our labor is to remodel the whole by choosing from all the past that which is the best. T will guide us in this. We must therefore make one book acknowledging the ever-present Great Spirit and his one Shang-Ti. And this book must contain all the glory and beauty now contained in the 700 sacred books of the empire. And since there are 486 books on the intermediate world atmospheria, which no man can learn, we must take from them all their soundest parts and make one book thereof. And in the same connection, there being 1,270 books on the spirits of the dead and their testimonies of the lower and the higher heavens, we must make one book thereof. And of the 2,200 books on magic and on conjuring spirits and on second sight and second hearing, we must make one book thereof. Of books of families, there are more than 4,000, which shall be condensed into one book. Of histories, there are more than 4,000 books, which should be condensed into one book. Of the law books, there are more than 12,000 books. Of the presence of judges' decrees, there are more than 30,000 books. All of these shall be condensed into one book. Of providences and of the empire of the governors and emperors thereof, there are 2,700 books, all of which shall be condensed into one book. And of government, there are 700 books, which should be condensed into one. Of the caste, there are 490 books, and of properties, 320, and all of these shall be condensed into one book. Caillou, continuing, said, my work is to bring confusion to a termination of doctrines and laws and rites and ceremonies and philosophies of both heaven and earth. We have had enough. In a dark age, Shang-Ti, true God, giveth his commandments and injunctions. He showeth the people what is right and what is wrong. In my day, the people know these things, but they do not practice them. Even the preachers and conductors of ceremonies in the temples, who proclaim righteousness and charity and good works, do not practice what they preach. They live in ease and luxury, but tell us to go give to the poor. Yeah, and they threaten us with hell if we don't do it. Of these different doctrines, there are 700 kinds in the sacred books, and they are all condemned the followers of others. Whereupon, to escape the damnation of hell, a man would need to do sacrifice more than 4,000 days every year. This is not possible to any man, for there are but 2,365 days in a year. That's a lot. Nor is it possible for any man to learn of the books, nigh 1,000 years would not suffice. God, T, forbid that I may add more to the burden we have already. And I know he will preserve in our abridgment all that is good in the whole of them. Since we cannot live according to the multitude of doctrines and philosophies, we must abridge them within the scope of man. Neither must we cut any of them off entirely, or we lead the followers thereof into rebellion. Since we have so many law books and so many judges' decrees, all of which a man must learn before he can become a judge of the court, the which is impossible, we must cut them down into a few simples, but sufficient to cover the rules of discretion in judgment. Better it is to throw the judge of the court partly on his own judgment and responsibility than for him to be a blank as to judgment, simply reading the decree of a preceding judge. And as to the religion of this man or that man, behold, it hath come to pass that each in his own order performeth his rites and ceremonies and sacrifices and prayers like a trained horse in a showman's circle, going round and round, and knowing not the meaning thereof. For it come to pass that religions have made machines of the worshippers, the law books have made machines of the courts, the books of government have made machines of governors and emperors. I am sent into the world to make men of men and women of women. There is no religion to suit me, therefore I make one. There is no government of the empire to suit me, therefore I devise one. There is no system in society, therefore I make one. I am not sent into the world to destroy what is or what hath been. There are enough evil men to do that. I am sent to cull the harvest and to gather choice seed from what now is and what hath been. For the seed I plant is selected not to be planted in the ocean, nor in the moon, nor in a far-off country, but to be planted in Shenia, and in Shenia I will plant it. What were the old foundations? To dwell in families, communities, with the Father to each and every one. And what of the ancient states? The fathers had families with chief fathers over them. What of the empire? The chief fathers elected one over them, and he was called the Son Father, because as the sun is the glory and beauty of the planets, ruling over the planets, so was the emperor the sons of mortals. What was the scope of responsibility? As a father is responsible for the behavior of his own child, so was the rabbi responsible for the behavior of his family, so was the chief rabbi responsible for the behavior of his family of rabbis, so was the emperor responsible for the behavior as an empire. What was the responsibility of a child to its neutral father, of a man to the rabbi, of the rabbis to the chief rabbis, of all the people to the empire? The child shall be taught to love, to revere, to obey its own father and its mother, who is vice father. The man to love and revere the rabbis to love and revere the chief rabbis, the whole people to love and revere the empire. Why this order? It is the doctrine of the ancients handed down from generation to generation and have proved to be a good doctrine for an empire. How knew the ancients these principles? The Creator taught them. The Creator sent his high angel, T, who had charge of the intermediate world, down to the mortals to teach them. How is this proved? By the sacred books of the ancients. Who wrote the ancient sacred books? Men inspired by the angel of the Creator. How is this proved? It is proved negatively, because men cannot write so beautifully nor in the style. What were the fundamental doctrines of the ancient sacred books? To worship none but the Creator, to have no images or idols, to keep the days of the change of the moon as a sacred day, and to do no work on that day, but to practice rites, processions, and ceremonies for the glory of Creator. To the love of Creator above all else, to love one's parents next to him, to kill no living creature maliciously or for food, to tell no lies, nor to steal, nor to convert anything that is another's. Do not unto others what would that they should not do unto us. To return good for evil, to feed and clothe the stranger, the sick and helpless. To be not idle, but industrious. To say no ill of any man, woman, nor child. To practice the highest wisdom one hath, to respect all people as we desire to be respected. Very interesting. And I'm going to leave that here. Confucius, what a fantastic soul. So I hope you guys got a lot out of that. It was very interesting. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the shoulder. Be the lighthouse. Seed your truths. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. I am back to work tomorrow, so things might get back to schedule with book readings, but I still plan on doing craft lives and painting videos as I have the energy for it, because I'm probably coming back down with a cold or something. It's annoying. But until the next time, guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you to all the channel members for your support. And just my gratitude to everybody and appreciation. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye for now.